Hey guys, DJ here from PTA. Massive move on INDO this morning and all throughout today. So congratulations to everyone who have taken advantage of that trade, played it correctly, and capitalized on gains on it. This has been on watch for quite some time over the last 2 weeks. We made in and out plays. Here in our staff, majority of our staff take trades that day and take either all, if not all, their shares off by the end of the day. We usually close out all our positions. But today, just a massive play. Shorts really got blown out of water on this one. Kind of want to go over this play, give you a day by day play as to what happened yesterday and what created the sentiment for today. Now, market conditions, market has been down relatively due to Russia, Ukraine issues, as well as just being in a bear market at this point in time. Gas prices, oil prices are up, crude oil or whatnot, as well as other factors has made it where it's been kind of quiet in the trading world for people who go long. A lot of great short opportunities which our staff have been taking advantage of, but this here being a long play, and what most of our community like to do is go long. We like to go over those plays specifically to teach people how to make those plays effective for them. Now, so again, as I always talk about, is top-down analysis. So we start off for the week, and you notice that we've been in an uptrend for the past 2 weeks when it comes to this stock. As we switch out into the daily to kind of get a sentiment, yesterday was a massive amount of volume, 46 million or so in volume, and we ended the day red. We had a massive rally up through the 25s that day. We played some trades that day on another video, as well as we had a big flush that happened towards the end of the day. It looks as though shorts were taking over. So many of those shorts, due to the volume, due to the massive drop, held their shares overnight, meaning that if you get any type of gap, any type of momentum, any type of energy that comes in that first pre-market time frame, the next day, that's going to cause a lot of people to get squeezed out of their position. It's just a rule of thumb. Typically, we tell our staff, anyone who's a member of our community, to never hold shares overnight when it comes to stocks like this. It's just a recipe for disaster. So congrats to everyone in the Discord, and if you have been following us on Twitter or a part of our subscription-based newsletter, you would have got the email that gave you a free invite in becoming a non-member part of our community. So our non-members were able to communicate with members in reference to different trades. We wanted to open that up so that people can kind of get a taste and a feel of what our community offers. Now, when it comes to this particular trade, it was a two-part piece when it comes to it. So I want to go over the first part, which was the previous day. March 3rd, let's take it down to the 30-minute. We had massive rally here. Some traders took profit here. Nice little pullback, and then we had a massive rally back up. And then we had a sideways price action and then a collapse. The key area on this stock yesterday was 22. And we yelled that out a few times in the Discord to let people know these are your key areas that you need to keep an eye on when it comes to this particular trade. So if we break this down into a 5-minute, you can see how this stock broke from this area here off of 22, rallied up, pulled back, went sideways for 25 minutes, and then broke from that same area again to rally back up again, as well as that was the same area that it broke down from. So 22 was a key area. As that stock broke down late part of the day yesterday, it actually pulled down and it had a nice little bounce, and most people probably played it off the 22 and flushed it out for the day. Now, because of that, you had a lot of people holding shares. And because of that hold, it then started to peak back up. So when pre-market comes in, and we got it over the 200 EMA, it's flirting around the 22, it actually makes or comes up the pre-market high and previous day high and pull back. That's when I started to get some interest in it. simply because it started to create a channel. So if we go back to the 30-minute, you can see that there go your pullback, which calculated out to be an hour pullback, which created a critical area. Some of our staff, when it comes to the trader, actually one of our head traders here, Trade King, actually shouted out in the chat the key area. He was looking at 26. Seller sitting at 26. So he ended up getting in around that area and said, I hope everyone got in around 26 on INDO. So what was 26? Well, let's take a look at that. 26 was this area. So when you zoom in, and let's break this down to a 5-minute, you can really see the price action and see the pullback and then the perk over 26 right off of this candle here. So 2601 was probably his entry, or somewhere in that corner, and then it rallied from 26 up to about 31 in that particular range. So then we get our first swing down. Now, for me, again, I like the stock to really rally first thing in the morning, even if it dips. So I like to see the play out. So if we go back to the hour, you can see that it actually ran up. Right here is when we got our official pullback. So when I saw that, essentially, I broke down a 30-minute. This was my first candle of the pullback. So I got my zone, consolidation zone. So once I went there, I can go back into the 5-minute and then find my key areas. Now right here was my key area because once it pulled out, this was a slight little fake out, but even if you had a got in and risked it to the previous swing low, you still would have stayed in the trade. To me, that was just too big of a risk. And because it was too big of a risk, I decided not to place that trade. So once I got the favorable setup, which was right here, I got in around 31.25 is where I got my order filled. I was looking for a 31.80 break. Once it broke over 31.80, came back and retested it, I end up allowing it to continue on. Very good, solid trade. And then it rallied on up to 49. Now the price action looks kind of stable there, but when you look at it on the 1-minute, it kind of gives you more of an idea of what was going on. See, this was a consolidation area here, right at about 32.88. When I seen that it was kind of consolidating here, knowing that my stop loss was way back here, I just allowed it to play out. And then it is over under at 31.80 and kind of started to pick up steam. As you see, it's pulling back. Then it started to pick up steam, and then it just burst into the rally past the 32.88, which was this little miniature consolidation area. Once it took off, it then just went rallying. What I like to do or see when I'm trying to get out of a position, when I start to see it exhaust itself, I start to see these long top wicks, which is indicating that shorts is taking over. Yes, it's still in the uptrend, but I know that shorts is taking over. So by that time, I started taking shares off about that 46.50 area from my 32. And from there, that's when I started to release and get out of the stock because I figure at that point in time, it's already in pulled back. So when you're looking at it from a higher time frame, this is the key. How do you stay in the trade that long even though it's moving and whipsawing and everything like that? I pay attention to the larger time frames. And I look at the price action on there. So once it had broke out from the key area that had got in at, you start to see the stair step, and this was a massive rally here. So when you start to see them relatively the same size, that's a good sign that that stock is stable. When you start to see it get a large range bar like this on the 30-minute, that means there's a lot of price action. So when I start to see some pullback on this price action here, and you take it down further and further down to each time frame, you will start seeing how the stock is reacting. This massive, massive candle here, and then you get this big pullback here. So as you're looking at this from time frame to time frame, it gives you a picture of what's going on. You can see that the shorts were getting exhausted here on this 5-minute. So coming into this new 5-minute at 2:05 Eastern Standard. This is where I started to look critically at what was going on, particularly with the stock, and I knew that I needed to start either releasing shares or getting out. So right, watching the price action from both the higher time frames down to the lower time frames is what help you get a consensus of how to hold on to that trade. So you're not wiggling out, you're not getting scared, you're not looking at your P&L. You pay attention to what the stock is doing. And if you're in the stock good and you're paying attention to the P&L, you can let your winners run because you're paying attention to the price action versus looking at how much money you made. And this is what we teach our staff and other traders that are members is to how to pay attention to the price action to prevent you from um, taking profit too soon or taking profit too late. So in this particular trade, again, got out around 46.50s area. I probably released about 80% of my shares, and then once it did this bounce, I thought it may regain here and continue on, but it didn't. And once I got that break, official break here on this candle, um, that's when I took off the rest at 45.50s. And then from there, we just had a nice little wash. So, again, congratulations to the trading community, to all those who have made money on this particular play and did very, very well. This is definitely a good thing to see that stocks are moving like this. With everything that's going on, it's really good to have some stocks move and make some money. So, guys, if you like this information that you get, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, like the video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. As I always tell my staff and other traders that are a part of this community, that stay studying and stay focused.